Rodney Hunt here with GoossenTutor.com, and I'm here with Lou Dibella. Lou is the promoter for Alan Green. Alan Green had a lot to say all prior to this press weigh-in today, but today he was silent. Is that just a focus fighter? What do you think?
I think it's a focus fighter, and I think he was also through fucking with with Andre. I think that he views Andre as a more inexperienced kid. The guy that hasn't been used to dealing with a more professional guy. And I think in the beginning he was talking a lot of smack to see how Andre would react. And Andre is a respectful kid. I mean, he's a good guy. A God-fearing kid and a family guy. And I think that in the beginning, Alan wanted to see if he could get under his skin. And then also, I think at a certain point, he hushed up to see if he hushed up, would that make Andre a little bit more brave in terms of talking some smack of his own. I think now the smack talking's over. It's the day before the fight. It's a weigh-in. I think he knows tomorrow night's everything. And I don't think he had much more to say. I think he's going to do his talking in the ring. And if he can't do his talking with a real big right hand or a real big left hook, he's going to have a problem. But if he could land a real big right hand or a real big left hook, then there's going to be a new champion.
First you said about experience.
Yeah.
He thinks that Andre's not experienced. Andre's fought in the Olympics. That means he's been...
Look, Andre's got as much amateur experience as anybody that's ever fought, really. And as a pro, I mean, he's had a great career for a young kid. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have a lot of fights. Mm-hmm. He hasn't been in there with a lot of guys who could box like he can or as well as he can. And he hasn't been in with a lot of guys with significant power and boxing ability.
Kessler?
Yeah, Kessler, but I think in some ways Kessler was made for Andre Ward. And what I mean by that is Kessler's a great fighter, but there were a lot of things working there. He had a long layoff. You don't get faster when you get older. You don't get faster when you've had a long layoff. And Kessler's also a little bit, dude, he's a white European fighter. He's a little bit stand-up. Right. And for a kid as quick as Ward, Kessler couldn't catch up with him. Kessler couldn't put enough pressure on him. Kessler couldn't find him. It was dominant. I think if he fought Kessler 10 times, I think Kessler had a bad night, but I think Ward would beat him 10 out of 10 times. Styles make fights, matchups, I think Allen is a tougher fight style-wise for Andre Ward than Kessler was. I think, Allen uses the expression jive. He says, Kessler had no jive. Therefore, Kessler couldn't compete with Ward because Ward's got jive. And what I guess what he means by that is the ability to move, to shake and bake rhythm. It's rhythm.
You got rhythm, Lou?
Dude, please. I grew up in Brooklyn. I got a little bit of rhythm, I got a little bit of rhythm. But I think that Allen has to assert a jab. He has to be able to back Ward up and catch up with him and put effective aggression on him. If he's not able to catch Ward, and I don't mean catch in the sense of a big punch. I mean catch in the sense of catching up with him, being able to apply pressure and cut off the ring and get to him. Then Allen's going to have a very long night. But if the jab lands a little bit early and Allen feels that jab, which is heavier than a jab he's felt before, if a right hand or a left hook lands sometime in that first 4 or 5 rounds and really gets his attention, then this could be a very different fight than Andre Ward's ever had. Andre's been knocked down, but he's been knocked down by guys nowhere near as good as he is. When a guy in the same, relative level, a guy that's a world-class fighter, hurts you or knocks you down, it's a different story. So I think it's going to be an interesting fight. I have no question about Ward's level of ability. I have no question about his heart either. I got a little bit of question about his chin, and I got a little bit of question about what happens when he has to really walk through the fire. What happens when he's not 6 rounds ahead and front running?
Okay, let me be devil's advocate here. You said Andre got dropped.
Yeah.
When Andre got dropped, he got up and he won the fight convincingly too.
No, and I give you that, but he's been dropped on a couple of occasions, and he's always been dropped by guys that weren't anywhere near as good as he was. Darnell Boone, not in the same league. was it Kenny Coase? I forgot the kid's name. There was another kid, white boy, knocked him down. He wasn't horribly hurt. He was knocked down. He got up and he won. That's what a great fighter does. But when you go down to a puncher and you get up and that puncher smells blood, it's like the shark, with that pool of blood around the shark goes for the blood. A puncher, a real puncher, a quality fighter who's a puncher, has you hurt, it's a different story. So, I mean, I think Allen is a very, very live underdog. 6-1, I think, is ridiculous. And 10-1, Allen by knockout. Like, if I was in Vegas right now, I'd be down on that.
Last thing here, Lou. Yeah. I'm just deciphering through what you've talked about. And it sounds like to me that you're saying, really in a nutshell, if Andre gets caught, he's going to lose. But if he doesn't get caught, your fighter has a problem.
I agree with that. But when I say get caught, I don't necessarily mean it has to be a knockout. He's got to feel, he's got to feel, if he doesn't feel Allen's power, Allen's in trouble. And Allen can box, but the difference between, I'd say that Ward is probably a little bit quicker, pure boxer, might be a little bit harder to get to, a little bit more mobile, younger. But he can't punch anywhere near where Allen can punch. And I don't think his jab's as good as Allen's jab. So if that jab lands hard a couple of times and Andre's going, this guy's a bad motherfucker because he feels that a little bit. And then one real hard punch lands fairly early in the fight, I think Allen's going to win the fight. If Allen never stuns him, never gets his attention, and can't assert his jab, then not only is Allen going to lose, he's going to lose bad. But I don't think that's going to happen. And maybe it's wishful thinking because I'm his promoter. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that it's going to be a real tough fight, both ways. Tough fight. I think Andre Ward's too talented not to give a guy a tough fight. But I think that Allen Green's got no fear, got mad hunger, got dynamite in both fists, and he can box. And I don't think Andre Ward has ever fought anyone with the combination of boxing ability and punching power that he's going to face tomorrow night. So I'm going to go out on a limb. My fighter, Allen Green, knockout victory.
Thanks, man.